The Galactic Council chamber fell silent as the Draconid ambassador collapsed. Her scales, once shimmering like molten copper, had dulled to the color of ash. Ambassador Velrith clutched the podium with trembling claws, her massive frame swaying as centuries of pride warred with desperate necessity. "Please," she whispered, the universal translator barely catching her words. "My people are starving." Paul Martinez sat in the human delegation's corner, his 7-year-old daughter Isla perched on his lap. The other species, the crystalline Luxari, the gaseous Nethfer, the insectoid Krell, all averted their multitude of eyes. Nobody wanted to acknowledge what everyone knew. The Draconids were dying. It had been 3 cycles since the Draconid sun began its collapse. Their homeworld, once a paradise of volcanic mountains and gem-studded caverns, was freezing. Their traditional food sources, silicon-based organisms that thrived in extreme heat, were extinct. The proud dragonfolk, who had once conquered 17 star systems, were reduced to begging. "The Council has reviewed your petition," droned the Luxari chairman, its crystalline body refracting cold light. "However, the resource allocation for refugee species has been exhausted. We suggest you seek bilateral agreements with individual members." Paul watched Velritha's shoulders slump. He'd read the reports. Every species had refused. The Draconids had made too many enemies during their imperial phase. Old grudges died hard in the galaxy. "Daddy," Isla tugged his sleeve, her brown eyes wide. "Why is the dragon lady sad?" "Because she's hungry, sweetie. Her whole family is hungry." Isla frowned, processing this. Then she reached into her pocket and pulled out a cookie, slightly crumbled, wrapped in a napkin. It was from the reception earlier, something she'd saved for later. Before Paul could stop her, Isla wriggled free and marched down the aisle. Her small shoes echoed in the vast chamber. Every alien eye turned to watch this tiny human approach the towering Draconid. "Excuse me, Miss Dragon?" Isla called out. Velrith looked down, her triple-pupiled eyes widening. She'd never seen a human child before. So small, so fragile, so impossibly brave. "Yes, little one." Isla held up her cookie. "If I share my cookie with you, will you keep it? I mean, will it help?" The chamber erupted. The Krell buzzed in their seats. The Nethfer swirled in agitation. The Luxari chairman's facets flashed angry colors. This was a diplomatic proceeding, not a— Velrith dropped to her knees. The impact cracked the marble floor. Slowly, carefully, she extended one massive claw, and with surprising gentleness, accepted the cookie. It looked absurd, a tiny, golden-brown circle in a palm that could crush steel. Tears, mercury bright, rolled down the dragon mother's face. "I will keep it," Velrith said, her voice breaking. "I will keep it forever." Paul reached his daughter, gently pulling her back. But the damage, or perhaps the miracle, was done. In that moment, every species in the chamber saw themselves reflected in a child's simple generosity. And in their reflection, they found shame. The chairman cleared its throat, a sound like wind through crystal chimes. "Perhaps we should reconvene, reassess the situation." But Paul wasn't listening to politics anymore. He was thinking. Humanity had only joined the galactic community 5 years ago. They were new, untested, still finding their place among species that had sailed the stars for millennia. But humans had something these ancient races seemed to have forgotten. They remembered what it meant to be hungry. Ambassador Velrith. Paul stood, Isla in his arms. "Earth would like to propose an emergency provision agreement. We have agricultural surplus. Our vertical farms produce more than we need. It's carbon-based, not silicon, but our xenobiologists believe Draconid digestive systems could adapt." Velrith stared at him. "Why?" "Humans and Draconids have no treaties, no history. We have nothing to offer in return." Paul smiled, squeezing his daughter. "You have everything to offer. You're alive. You're someone's mother, someone's daughter. That's enough." "The cost of transporting such quantities," the chairman began. "We'll handle it," Paul interrupted. "Humanity calls it a Marshall Plan. We've done it before, on our own world. We rebuilt former enemies, fed the hungry. It's kind of our thing." Over the following weeks, human cargo ships arrived in Draconid space. Not warships, transports, filled with grains, synthesized proteins, and enough food to sustain a civilization. Human engineers worked alongside Draconid technicians, building geothermal stations to replace their dying sun's warmth. Human teachers shared agricultural techniques, showing the proud warriors how to farm. It was awkward. It was difficult. The Draconids struggled with their pride, and humans struggled with the logistics. But slowly, impossibly, it worked. Ambassador Velrith kept her promise. The cookie, carefully preserved in a stasis field, sat in the new Draconid embassy on Earth. A reminder that sometimes the smallest gesture could reshape the galaxy. Isla visited often, bringing new cookies each time. And Velrith, who had once commanded fleets, now spent her afternoons learning to bake, determined to one day return the kindness properly. The other species watched this strange alliance with confusion. This was not how galactic politics worked. Treaties were built on mutual benefit, strategic advantage, cold calculation. But humans had never been very good at following the rules. They operated on something the translator struggled to convey, a concept that roughly meant Ubuntu, common humanity. The radical notion that someone else's suffering was everyone's problem. The galaxy would never be the same. Paul tucked Isla into bed that night, her room filled with drawings of friendly dragons. "Daddy," she yawned, "are we going to save them all?" "Save who, sweetie?" "Everyone who's hungry. In all the stars." Paul kissed her forehead, his heart aching with impossible love for this child who thought saving the galaxy was just something people did. "We're going to try, Isla. We're going to try." Outside, the stars burned cold and distant. But somewhere among them, a dragon mother looked at a preserved cookie and believed, for the first time in cycles, that the universe might have room for kindness after all. And in the human way of doing things, that belief was about to become very, very contagious.